How's it going, Eliminators? Today, we're going to be doing an update on the Oregon 40-volt cordless lawnmower. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So in front of me today, I have the LM300 40-volt cordless lawnmower, and you guys can see that it's been taken all apart, and we're going to be talking about why this had to be disassembled, and I'm going to be going over the experiences my customer had. He relayed that information to me. I relayed that information to the distributing company that I purchased this unit from, who then relayed that information back to Oregon. And I'm basically going to be going over the whole process that I had to go through and what led us to this point right here. So back in April of 2021, one of my customers came to me and wanted to purchase a cordless lawnmower. He did not want a gas-powered unit. He wanted something that was cordless. And earlier in the spring, I had received a brochure from Oregon advertising their 40-volt Power Now outdoor power equipment that was all cordless and battery powered. So because I'm an Oregon distributor, I can get Oregon parts at a discounted price. And that included some of these wholesale goods like, lawnmowers and leaf blowers and all kinds of stuff. Now, my customer had some gas-powered equipment that he wanted to get rid of because he was downsizing from a large house to a smaller one. So if you'll remember, I had filmed and posted the video where I purchased this and I traded it as a fair trade for a couple riding lawnmowers and a snowblower. Now, because I am an Oregon distributor, I get that discount when I purchase Oregon parts or equipment. So I saved a little bit of money compared to what a consumer would pay for. And just to be fully transparent, this entire unit right here, the battery and the charger, cost me $398 Canadian before taxes. Now, in that video that I posted back in April, where I pretty much just unboxed this unit and assembled it, I mentioned something that I called battery math. And that is essentially figuring out how big of a battery you need to be able to cut your lawn depending on how big it is. Because you have to keep in mind that unlike a gas-powered lawnmower that you can just keep putting fuel in and cut as much lawn as you can, with these battery-powered units, the larger the battery, the more square footage of grass you can cut. The smaller the battery, the less grass you can cut. So in that unboxing video, I had discussed that we figured out what my customer would need and what should be sufficient. Now you guys can see here, this is a 40-volt Power Now Oregon battery, and this one is the 4.0 AH, so that's a 4 amp hour battery. And Oregon advertises that the LM300 with a 4 amp hour battery should have approximate runtime of about 90 minutes and should be able to cut approximately 4,000 to 5,000 square feet of grass. So before I selected the battery, I asked how large my customer's yard was, and he said that he had a 20 by 50 foot lot, which is approximately 1,000 square feet. So we went ahead and ordered the 4 amp hour battery because, again, you should be able to cut 4 times the amount of grass that my customer has. So I went ahead and filmed the video of me unboxing it, assembling it. Like you saw in that video, I pressed the button, the blades turned, the motor was fairly quiet, and I was really excited to see this new technology that I had never purchased or sold before. And, just to be clear, this was not only my first foray into the electric outdoor power equipment market, but also my customers. So there was a little bit of an unknown that we were getting ourselves into, but we were, excited to see what this thing could do. With that being said, though, within 2 weeks, my customer had sent me a text message saying that the battery would have no power left after he cut approximately 80 to 90% of his yard. He said he would have 2 strips left, basically quit. It didn't do anything. So with the 4 amp hour battery, my customer was getting approximately 21 to 23 minutes of runtime, which ended up giving him less than 1,000 square foot of actual, cutting ability. So again, his property was about 1,000 square feet of grass. It was sun-dried grass. If I can get a picture and put it up on screen, I'll show you. He said that basically the bag was only about 3/4 of the way filled. And at this point, that was very alarming because I didn't know how to diagnose an issue with this. I needed tech support. Now, this is where I found out the difference between an Oregon distributor and an Oregon dealer, because they are two very different things, and we're going to get into that, starting off with me contacting the distributing company that I purchased this unit from. So the first thing I did was send off some emails and made some calls to the company that I purchased this unit from. I didn't buy it from Oregon direct because they're from the United States. So I actually purchased it through a Canadian Oregon distributor, and then, I distribute it from me to my customer. So I contacted them. They contacted Oregon on my behalf, and we ended up finding out what to do next. Oregon's policy for their 40-volt Power Now equipment is that if you have a battery that is not running the unit as long as it should, then what you're supposed to do is take your battery into an Oregon dealer and have your battery charged by the dealer's charger. So you then take your battery that was charged by the dealer's charger, plug your battery into your machine, and you go and cut your grass. And if the runtime of your battery increased, that means that your charger is defective and is not charging your battery to its capacity. Now, if that ends up being the case, Oregon will warranty your charger. You'll have a new charger that properly charges your battery, and away you go. So this leads us to our first major problem for tech support here in Canada. So I'm located in Port Colborne, Ontario, Canada, and unfortunately there are no Oregon dealers located anywhere near close to me. The closest Oregon dealer is in New York. So that's across the border, and right now international travel is pretty much limited, right? So this is where we kind of came into our first major problem for me getting tech support, because I couldn't go to a dealer in order to charge my customer's battery. Now, Oregon also has a policy that says if you don't have a dealer located within 30 kilometers of you, they don't expect you to travel any further, so they will send you the products you need in order to do the work yourself. Now, one of the biggest speed bumps or kind of roadblocks that I encountered was I really didn't know who to contact to get the ball rolling on this whole process, because I was contacting the distributing company and they were then contacting the original manufacturer, Oregon, who was then getting back to them, and then they were getting back to me. So this whole process took way longer than it should have. So as I had said, we purchased this unit in April. Within a couple weeks, my customer was getting back to me, telling me that the battery wasn't lasting as long as it should. By May, I had contacted the distributing company, and then by June, we were kind of going back and forth. And this process, like I said, took way longer than it should have. Now, by July, I was finally in contact with Oregon's warranty department, and they agreed to send me another 4 amp hour battery so that I could do the diagnostic myself. So as you guys can see, I have 2 chargers and 2 4 amp hour batteries in front of me. So what I did was I charged the old battery with the new charger, and unfortunately my customer got the same amount of runtime. It was about like 23 minutes and the thing would just stop. You'd push the button and nothing would happen. The blade would not turn. So at that point, I told him to use the new battery charged on the new charger, see what happens. Maybe it is a battery issue and not a charger issue. So my customer used the new 4 amp hour battery charged on the new charger, and unfortunately the same thing. My customer was getting like roughly 20 minutes of runtime, couldn't cut his full yard of 1,000 square feet with this unit with a single battery. However, at least now he had 2 batteries and 2 chargers, and he was able to cut his whole yard basically in the same day. So at this point, we weren't sure whether we ruled out the batteries or the chargers as being an issue, because you have to understand that if the original battery was defective, we could have also been sent another defective battery, and we would never know because the cut time never increased, right? The run time was still roughly 20 minutes, less than 1,000 square feet, which I should stress is approximately 1/4 of what Oregon advertises for this unit. Again, the LM300 with a 4 amp hour battery should run for approximately 90 minutes and cut at least 4,000 square feet, and we were getting about 1/4 of that. So at this point, I'm trying to do everything I can to keep my customer happy. So I reached out to my rep at Oregon and tried to set us up as an Oregon dealer. right? Again, there's a difference between a distributor, which I currently am. You know, I can buy parts and equipment, I get a little bit of a discount, and then I can sell it to customers. But a dealer has, you know, many more things available to them, such as all this tech support and insider stuff. And unfortunately, Oregon wasn't setting up any more Canadian dealers, and the Canadian dealers that they do have are spaced really far apart, and there's not as many of them out there as I thought there was. If you go to the Oregon dealer locator and you're searching in the United States, there's Oregon dealers literally everywhere. And in Canada, there's like hardly any, especially in Ontario, which, you know, I was kind of disappointed to see. So fast forward to August now, and, you know, my customer's cutting grass. Again, he's still having to swap out the batteries. And if you will remember my unboxing video on this LM300, you'll remember that I mentioned this one only has a single battery slot, whereas the larger LM400 with the steel cutting deck had 2 battery slots. So you could actually put dual batteries in it and the cut time would be even longer. But with this unit only having 1 battery slot, like I said, you know, my customer had to keep changing the batteries mid-cut. He said it was a little bit of a hassle, but he absolutely loved the unit. It was, you know, very quiet. It worked fairly well, and it was super lightweight because of the all plastic design. And therein lies the final issue that kind of put the tombstone on this unit. Right here is the mower deck height adjustment rod. That's the metal one there. So the way Oregon has designed this is essentially one user-controlled lever that hooks into this connecting rod that goes to your front and your rear wheels. So when you pull this out and you push this forward, you guys can see that it raises the height of the front of the unit. But because that part broke right there, made out of plastic, the back has absolutely no adjustability, and unfortunately doesn't stay in the up position. So what ended up happening was my customer was going along cutting grass, and the rear of the mower slammed into the ground and buries the blades into the grass. Now here's where things get interesting, because I'm going to take you through my process of trying to find this part for my customer. So if you'll remember back to the unboxing video, this mower didn't come with a paper manual or any kind of parts diagram that was in, you know, physical form. Everything was digital. So we went into the PDF file that we downloaded and found out the part number for this part right here, and it is an Oregon part number 599817, and it's called a connecting rod. Now, the issue with getting this part, I'm going to put it up on screen, is the part is pretty much back ordered everywhere, which either means that Oregon has, you know, a manufacturing issue, possibly delays due to, you know, the times we're in right now, or this part keeps breaking on so many units that they literally can't build them fast enough. And judging by how poorly this part here is designed, I'm leaning towards the latter, being that so many of these are breaking on so many machines that Oregon is having a hard time keeping up with the demand for this part. So you essentially have the entire weight of the unit, and you have to remember that the bag goes onto the back, right? Now that bag isn't very large, and if you're cutting sun-dried grass, there's not a whole lot of weight on the back end. And as well as this unit is fairly light because, again, it's made out of pretty much all plastic. So you really don't have to push too hard on the handles. So the amount of weight being put on the rear end isn't that much, and that part right there still broke. So at this point, I was kind of disappointed in the build quality, and with all the issues that we had with the battery and the chargers and, you know, just the overall performance of this machine, I contacted Oregon and basically I said, I just want a full refund for this thing, and, you know, if you guys want me to ship it back, I will ship it back. I just basically wanted to be done with this thing. Now, I'm not saying that the LM300 is a terrible unit, you know, because this could just be a lemon, right? This could be like one out of maybe tens of thousands of units that has really bad problems and is just a kind of nightmare case. because the distributor that I purchased this from says that he has landscapers that go into like old folks' homes and retirement homes, and they use these because they don't make too much noise, the LM300, the LM400, and they go around with the cordless electric stuff. And he says they run these things all day long, and he's never heard of the issues that I was having. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that not all of these Oregon products are lemons. However, on my channel here, I always try to offer you guys full transparency, and I wanted to share my experiences with you guys so that you can become an informed consumer and make a decision yourself whether or not you want to risk getting into something like this. So with that being said, that leads us to the point we're at now. The thing is completely disassembled, which I wanted to do to show you guys the broken connecting rod. And essentially what happened was, I spoke with Oregon, I spoke with my distributor, and I explained that after running into all of these issues, I didn't feel comfortable with sending this product out to get repaired because of, like I said, the build quality. And I didn't want to risk having another issue down the road, because you guys have to understand that I spent literally hours writing emails and contacting people on phone, leaving voicemails, waiting days and weeks to hear back. And it just wasn't worth my time and my effort. And also, a big shout out goes to my customer, who was incredibly patient and very, very understanding throughout this whole experience, that he didn't put any of this bad stuff on me. Pretty much he just said, this thing's a lemon, let's see what we can do to, maybe get another piece of equipment so that he didn't have to use this anymore. So I sent off all of the necessary information to my distributor and asked for a refund. And they said, not a problem, we'll give you a full refund for this unit. And then they get a refund from Oregon, which came to a total of $398 Canadian pre-tax. So they ended up giving me a full refund, to which I then went and wrote my customer a check. So my customer essentially traded in all that equipment. He is now in possession of the money, and essentially he can go and purchase any kind of unit he wants. And then I don't have to deal with, these issues if he wanted to purchase, some type of other cordless lawnmower. Maybe the LM400, is it better? I have absolutely no idea. This is just kind of my experience with, this product, guys. And like I said, I just wanted to share this with you. Like I said, we were excited to see some new technology, but unfortunately, I just don't personally think that it's up to par yet. Maybe in the future, if batteries become, 2 or 3 or 4 times as powerful in maybe half the size, sure. But we're going to need some serious advancements in the batteries in order to really push this stuff forward to the point where you can use it all day long and, not have any of these issues. Now, I did want to end this video on a positive, and that's going to be this Oregon light right here. So if you'll remember in my unboxing video, I also went out and purchased one of these units for myself because I needed a mobile light that was cordless that I could use, wherever I was working on something, whether it was in the day or night, and I needed a little bit of extra light. So this light here is part number 581611, and this thing is totally awesome. So out of something that I would recommend from Oregon, it's this right here. This light is insanely bright, okay, and the video doesn't do it justice at all. This light can be powered via its own AC/DC power cord adapter here that they include with it, or you could end up using one of the 40-volt Oregon Power Now batteries, which is what I ended up doing, and I use this thing all the time. This light is wicked, and with a 4 amp hour battery, this light can stay illuminated for I think like 24 hours or something like that, which is absolutely insane. So even though I haven't used too many of the Oregon Power Now products, this is one that I can highly recommend. And again, you don't have to worry about battery life issues with one of these because you're not cutting grass with it. It's just an LED light, so the battery life lasts a very long time. Now, as for the LM300 lawnmower, because you guys are probably curious, as was I, what happens to it? Well, I was instructed by Oregon to keep it for 60 days and then, unfortunately, just recycle the thing, which, again, had me a little disappointed because I told Oregon that I was willing to pay for shipping to ship this unit back to them, even if it, went back to the United States, so that they could figure out what was wrong with this, because I figured at least they would want to know. because I definitely want to know whether it's a battery issue or whether it's a motor or, some other electrical component. And unfortunately, that's not the case. As for the batteries, well, they're not a complete write-off. If I press the button here, you guys can see they're still taking a full charge. So these batteries may not last a long time on the unit for cutting grass. However, they still work to power my light, so I'm probably going to end up keeping them. And I may even go as far as to purchase the Oregon 40-volt Power Now leaf blower. And then who knows, maybe I'll do a review on that. So that might be something that you see in the near future. I don't know. But like I said, I just wanted to take some time to give you guys an update on this, let you know what my experience was. Hopefully I wasn't too negative. Obviously, I'm not going to be too positive about it, but as always, I try to remain as neutral as possible and always look at finding a solution instead of just pointing a finger and placing the blame. Let's see what went wrong with it and then go from there. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case with this unit, but like I said, sometimes that's just the way things work. So that's going to wrap up today's video. Like I said, unfortunate as it is, sometimes this is just the way things go. There's always going to be a problem with some type of product that any manufacturer builds when they're, manufacturing so many of them at a time. You are going to run into issues like this. In the end, though, I was glad I was able to get a refund. I then gave my customer a refund, so pretty much everybody's happy. Once again, big shout out goes to my customer for being, very patient and extremely understanding throughout this whole process. And now he has some money in his hands that he can go and buy pretty much any piece of equipment that he wants, whether it's electric or gas powered. He can make that decision for himself. With that being said, though, if you guys enjoyed the video, think about leaving me a thumbs up. It really helps me out. You can click here to subscribe and click over here to watch one of my previous videos. I upload every single week, so be sure to stop on by next week. Check channel out for new content. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.